It's Coach Laurie McNaughton coming to you again with another short video. This is going to be more of a sales video, if I could call it that, or maybe an influence video, if I could call it that. In this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about what makes me uniquely qualified to work with you and your team. Um, and in that time, in this video, I'm going to share with you a little bit of my journey so that you can understand where I came from and where I'm at today and how I can be a valuable asset to you and your organization and to help not just with you, but your team to excel and become the best that they can be. And I'm really focused in on team building, primarily because I believe that there is no company succeeds without a great group of people around them. So just a little bit of background on myself. As a young person, I was a bit of a train wreck. Lived a pretty reckless life, a lot of alcohol, a lot of pot, some other drugs too, but not in any quantity compared to the amount of alcohol and pot that I consumed in that particular period of time. And I was headed nowhere quickly. I struggled throughout school. I eventually did get a grade 12 education, but I can assure you that it wasn't without its struggles as well. But now I say, like, I have a PhD in life because of the stuff that I've done, the work that I've done after the fact. And I didn't take a post secondary education. I went out and learned all this stuff on my own. I paid for it all myself. I put all the blood, sweat, and tears into whatever it took for me to become the best that I could be. I can say this if and I joke about this, it's probably true though, is that when I was in high school, if they would have took a poll as to who's the person that least likely to succeed, I think I would have been a contender. But as life does, it deals out its ups and downs and challenges. And one day I was, in my mid 20s, and I woke up with a nasty hangover. And I thought to myself, literally at that particular point, I said, there has to be more to life than this because I can't do this anymore. I just can't do it anymore. And so I moved away from my hometown and I got away from all my friends who I love dearly. And I don't want to knock anything back then because, man, we had a lot of fun. Um, um, there was no shortage of fun happening at that particular time, but you can't live on fun all your life, right? So I moved to Edmonton and I started my journey on personal development. And the first book that I picked up and read was a book called Psycho Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And Maxwell Maltz was uh, 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 a surgeon, a plastic surgeon, who fixed people's idiosyncratic facial difficulties, whatever they had, bad nose, bad ears, bad cheeks, whatever. Um, and he said, I could take a blemish and remove it, and these people would look beautiful, and they'd look in the mirror and they'd still see ugliness. And he realized that at that point that it wasn't an outside job; it was an inside job. And so the premise of the book is that your mind can't tell the difference between something that actually happened and something that you vividly imagined. Now, today we talk about that as being visualization, a very powerful tool to put into your arsenal of helping you, get what you want out of life. Um, so that was the first book that I've read. I read, and since then, you can't see that, but there's over 300 books on the shelf over there. A lot around personal development, but a lot on business as well, and team building and customer service and sales training and all that kind of stuff. But that was the first book that I read, and then I was sitting around one evening late at night watching television back in the early 90s, and on came an infomercial, and it was a really young Tony Robbins selling a program called 30 Days to Personal Power, all on cassettes, uh, for you young folks out there. um, and I took that course, and it was really a lot about personal accountability, personal responsibility, taking ownership of your life, and then start to introduce habits that to create new and better habits that help facilitate you becoming unlimited versus limited. And then I was talking to some dear friends of mine here in the city here, Ted and Maggie, and was telling them that, I just really want to be the best at what I do. And at that time, I was a outside salesperson. And they said, well, you should take this course called The Pursuit of Excellence. And I remember them talking to me about it, and they said it was $500. And I got to say, the first thing that popped into my head is like, there's nothing that's worth $500 in the personal development industry. But they were very passionate about it. They both had taken it. And so I committed to going to do it. And I couldn't be more happy with that decision. It was literally the life-changing event. It really put me into a trajectory of success that I would not have experienced without it. I started again reading more. I went to, so I spent the $500 to go to the Pursuit of Excellence, and then signed up for the wall right after. It was $2,000. So I figured that 500 was well spent. Let's go with 2,000. And that's just still small change compared to what I've spent over the years. So the wall was a retreat on an island off the coast of Washington called Orcas Island, where our group was sequestered away for 4 or 5 days of just intense personal development. Just again, life altering. Came home from that, joined their Advancement of Excellence, which was just a program to make sure that we met once a week, talked about challenges that were happening, talked about learnings, etc. And just to take that learning that we had learned from the Pursuit of Excellence in the wall and make sure that we integrated it into our very being. And I'm going to talk a little later in the video about how important that is. And it's part of the reason why coaching even exists in the business world and executive world. Because I know that every one of you has probably been to some kind of a conference of some kind and thought, wow, you learned so much, and you took copious amount of some notes, and then you came back, you said, I'm going to change everything, and the phone starts ringing and somebody doesn't show up for work. You got an unhappy customer. Bing, bang, boom, you're just back to doing it the same way that you've always done it. So I'm going to tie into that a little later in the video here. So I also at that particular point joined an organization called Toastmasters International. If you haven't looked that up, checked it out, you should, especially if you have struggles with confidence, as well as the idea that public speaking is like the worst possible thing you could probably do. It's just the perfect atmosphere. It's so supportive to help you develop yourself, both from a confidence standpoint, but also as a presenter, facilitator, speaker, whatever it is that you want to do. And they have leadership opportunities inside that organization. Just, again, a great organization. I highly recommend to anybody who is, struggling with confidence and wants to. You don't necessarily need to want to be a public speaker to go to Toastmasters, although that's what you're going to be doing. But what it will do is develop your confidence in yourself. So then after that, Tony Robbins' organization came here to Edmonton, and they had a program called Power to Influence, which is again about sales. I had taken some training through Grant MacEwan College and the U of A and continuing education on those very subjects. But as you can imagine, I was becoming a big fan of Tony Robbins, and so I went to Power to Influence. And they asked during that program, great program again. It's not available here anymore, but great program. They asked me if I wanted to volunteer at his weekend program called Unleash the Power Within. And so I said, yeah, because I'd get to participate in the weekend as well. And it was there that I got to walk on, I think it was 30 or 40 feet of hot coals, which is, again, one of these things that life-altering experience. You might have heard a quote from, I believe it was attributed to Henry Ford. I don't know for sure, but he says, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Well, walking on hot coals is going to challenge what you think is possible. Um, and so there I am, Unleash the Power Within. Tony Robbins offers his Life Mastery program, which I forget exactly how much it was costing, but it was somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000, not including travel costs and hotels and all that kind of stuff. But it was again, I was just like, I just wanted to be the best, and I was willing to spend whatever it took for me to get to where I wanted to be. And so I signed up for that. Spent 9 days in Maui uh, with the Life Mastery, and then 9 days in Dana Point with Financial Mastery and Date with Destiny. Uh, so continuing my personal development, and um, I took some courses put on by the Pacific Institute in Investment of Excellence. And then in 2003, I started looking for a business because now my confidence is like, it's over the top. And I go, you know what? There's nothing I can't do. So I started looking for a business to get into, and I couldn't find anything that really interested me and got me excited until I went to a trade show, and there was a company it was called Action International at the time, and they had a vision for their company, which was called World Abundance Through Business Re-Education. Well, now I'd been on the road calling on businesses for, I think, probably 10 years at that time. No, 15 years at that time. And so I'd seen a lot of people come and go with their businesses, and some really, really great people who, best intentions, and, wanted to succeed, and they didn't. And so uh, Action International was about coaching businesses to success, to help them succeed and maximize their potential. World Abundance Through Business Re-Education. And they had this thing, there's 12 points of culture. Then I think it's 14 now. It was, I don't know what it is now, but all about integrity, honesty, cooperation, learning, growth, personal growth, all that kind of stuff. And it reminded me so much of all of the personal and professional development that I've done. And so here's a company that's going to teach companies how to uh, become successful, maximize their potential. Um, and I'm going to get to do that, but I'm going to get to learn how to do it, because I was smart enough to figure out that even though I was really good at sales, that doesn't make you a successful business person. And I was smart enough to know that. And so I thought, this is exactly what I want to do. And I was reminded of something that Zig Ziglar said in one of I don't know if it was an audio book or something that I had read, but he said, if you want to have everything that you want in life, help other people get what they want. And I thought, man, this would be really, really great, because I get to take all these tools that I've learned through Tony Robbins, Contacts Associates, Toastmasters, and apply it to help other people who are struggling with whatever, to get their business to a place where it provided them with a lifestyle versus it being their entire life. And then unfortunately for many, like I said, so many of them lost their businesses. So I did some due diligence around their company and decided to join them, and just an awesome experience for another 15 years of my life. I spent so every year they had two conferences, one global and one regional, meaning North America, and then a global conference. So I went to global conference, I think 8 times in the 15 years. I didn't go to every one of them because in the early days I was, just getting started, and it was a considerable expense to go to these events, and they were in some other part of the world. And so I didn't maybe go for the first couple of years, and then I went to, I think, 8 years. And I didn't go to them all because it's in August of every year. And for those of you who are from Edmonton, August is the greatest month in Edmonton, because there's just so many festivals and things going on. It's just so much fun to be around here. So I didn't go to every one of them, but I did go to every regional conference, and they were all held. Well, some of them were held in Canada here, but the vast majority of them were in the U.S. And they had the leaders in industry speaking at these events. Again, just a massive amount of learning. And Brad Sugars would always say, if you want to earn more, you got to learn more. That's a fact. You know, there's a little book called the E-Myth where Michael Gerber talks about people that get into business aren't necessarily business people or entrepreneurs. They're people who have, tired of working for somebody else, tired of working for somebody who they feel like is a not particularly all that smart or brilliant or whatever, and or they got downsized, and or they got fired, and so they get into business for themselves, not understanding that if you're an electrician, that's you wire houses, that's what you do, but that's not the business part of things. There's a whole other areas inside a business that most people don't really think about when they get into business for themselves. Like, first of all, you got to hire good people. You got to train these people. You got to engage these people. Secondly, you got to build systems and processes so that it functions like a well-oiled machine versus trying to make decisions on the fly. You've got marketing, you've got sales, you've got accounts receivable, accounts payable, you got taxes, you got bookkeeping, you got administration, the list goes on and on and on. Most people that get into business don't think about those things until after they get into business. And then they realize that, maybe I'm a little bit in over my head here. And so, I knew that there was a market for this kind of work, and it was right up my alley and for what I wanted to do, because I like to facilitate and teach and train and coach people. It's just that one thing that gives me the most excitement in life. And so I joined Action Coach in 2004, and I was with them for 15 years. And in that time, like I said, I did a massive amount of training. I worked with over 350 companies. The total revenue increase for all those companies is just on the other side of $500 million, $500 million. Some bigger jumps than others, because I worked when I first started, I was working with people that were doing $250,000, $300,000 a year, and taking those people up to $2 and $3 million a year. And then, of course, you start to gain some momentum. I was working with companies. I took lots from 1 million to 5 million, from 5 million to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40. When I say I took them, I was working with them at that time, and helped them develop systems and processes that allowed them to do that in a way that didn't completely overwhelm them. Because if you're a business owner, you've experienced overwhelm. There's no question. So you know what that's like. Just a ton of success working with business owners and helping them do that. Now, my biggest reward is working with their teams. There's nothing that I like better than watching people evolve and change and become more productive, more efficient, more reaching their potential, but more importantly, personal growth, reaching their own personal potential. And I always quote Jim Rohn when I'm working with teams, and that is, work harder on yourself than you do on your job, because when you work harder on yourself, you become better in every part of your life. Not only do you become a better employee, but you become a better husband, wife, son, daughter, brother, sister, friend, whatever it might be. And so I love working with teams, and I do different workshops. I do 2-day workshops, 1-day workshops, anywhere from around team alignments to strategic planning, to customer service, leadership and communication, sales training, all those things. And that's what I'm most passionate about. And when you change people like that inside an organization, everything changes for that organization. And now in comes the coaching part of things, because my guess is that each and every one of you have been to a conference or a program of some sort and learned a bunch of things. And you thought, man, this is just brilliant. This is great. I'm going to bring this back to my company, We're going to change everything. Everything's going to be great. And you get back Monday morning and the phone's ringing and somebody doesn't show up for work and you got on a happy customer and, you know, somebody tipped over the forklift in the warehouse, whatever the case may be. And the next thing you know, it's just bing, bang, boom, you're back to doing everything the same way. This is why coaching has evolved and become so powerful, because part of my role here is to help you develop a plan, set goals, and put together and develop your systems and processes so that your business functions more smoothly. But it's to hold you accountable to making sure that you don't fall off the rail there, because in business there's a lot of shiny pennies, and that's what a lot of business owners suffer from, the shiny penny syndrome. They wait a minute, what's that? Oh my God, what's that over there? Focus, 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 as one of my coaches said to me. Follow one course until success. Uh, I I can't tell you, that's one of my favorite things. And just so I don't forget to do this, I want to share the last uh, um, testimonial I got from one of my clients who we just did a team alignment with. So the team alignment day led by Lori, which brought together both the ownership and the management team for a day of collaboration, was nothing short of remarkable. Lori skillfully created an atmosphere that encouraged everyone to step out of their comfort zone. It was neat to witness. Everyone's barriers dissolved, mine included, as we worked together, paving the way for a newfound camaraderie within the company. By the end of the day, we emerged with a clear, unified vision for the path forward, which was exactly what we needed when we were approaching our busy season. Mark Lecouchier, CEO of ASAP Solutions, Inc. in Fort Saskatchewan. By the way, if you're looking for anything around traffic control and or painting, light posts, fire hydrants, anything like that, these are the guys to hire. They are a going concern, and they're going to do some really great things. So that is just one of the testimonials. You can go to my website, lauriemcnaughton.com, and go to the testimonial page to read what others have said about working with me. A vast majority of the people that I've worked with have been in the construction industry, although I've worked with companies in manufacturing as well as engineering firms and others as well. But the vast majority have been in the construction industry. And, people always say people in construction industry are tough cookies to work with. And I go, they're not any tougher than anybody to work with. They're all human beings. They all want to be better at what they do. They want to have good lives. They want to make good money. They want to, have their goals and desires met. They're just like everybody else. If you're in the construction industry and you think you can't deal with these tough guys, call me in. Call me in. We'll have some fun, and we'll change some people's lives. So I want to share another. I hope I didn't share this quote, because if you can imagine, I don't do these in one take, but I don't, do a whole bunch of editing at the end either. But I want to share a quote that was attributed to Henry Ford, and that is, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. You know, every one of you that owns a business, the possibilities are truly unlimited for what you can do. Apple, which is arguably, I think, the most valued highest valued company in the world today, started in a garage. Gregg Distributors, right here in Edmonton. The story is that Gary Gregg's dad started Gregg Distributors in his garage, putting hydraulic hoses together. I don't know how big that company is, but it's certainly all across parts of Western Canada now. A huge success. It started in a garage. So your small business, I want you to not to think about it as a small business, but I want you to think about it as a business with training wheels, and that you're going someplace with this. It takes exactly the same amount of energy to produce a company that's well run, highly successful and profitable, as it does to run one that's, well, it maybe takes less energy, to be honest with you. when you're running a company that's just chaos and not functioning very well. It's the same energy, it's just different energy. It's way more fun when you're, making tons of money and you got a great team of people who are, you know, bought right into your vision and where you want to go with your company, and they just want to be part of making it a great company. Just so much more fun, so much more easier for you. Immediately, well, not immediately, but takes away the stress and anxiety and the fear and doubt that you might have about, what's possible. So, I think that's all I wanted to cover today. Like I said, I believe I'm uniquely qualified to work with you and your team to help you get the best out of your company. And I always want to say, when you do training with people, you don't do it to them, you do it for them. Uh, I've never done a workshop where the people at the end of the day didn't come and thank me for coming and doing it. The people who work for the company coming to me and saying that was amazing, that was awesome. When you do stuff like that for your team, they uh, uh, create a newfound allegiance to you and what it is that you want to do. Now, you got to keep that up. Again, that's part of why people often hire me to be their coach as well, after doing the workshops or during the workshops, is because they know that they need to change the way that they do things. Oh, before I move on, I do want to talk about this because I mentioned earlier about, getting some really good information and knowledge from a conference you were at or something, and then coming back on Monday and it's just chaos. And the next thing you know, you're doing the same thing. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how the brain works, because this is why we end up going back to the same way of doing things. You got a brain, it would really literally fit into the palm of my hands. It weighs about 3.5 pounds, and it's 75% water. Pardon me, I'm just going to take a drink. Um, Weighs about 3.5 pounds, but it's got something in the neighborhood of 80 to 100 billion neurons in it. That's little areas where you can connect. Now you get these little synaptic connections, synapses between each of these that grows, and that starts to build your knowledge, your beliefs. I can or I can't, or I'm I'm good or I'm not good. I'm smart. I'm not smart. All these sort of things are connected through your brain. And so your brain is not unlike your business. It runs in a certain way based on a program that goes on inside the business, not unlike the way that your brain functions. And so um, when you uh, uh, when you like, let me take a step back here. I could come to you and sit down and talk to you for 20 minutes, half an hour, and change your mind in an instant about certain things. But it takes repetition to make it become something that actually is something that you do on a regular basis. Joe Dispenza talks about in his work, neurons that fire together wire together. And so we create habits in the way that we do things, not unlike the way that your business runs. It creates a habitual way of doing things, or a programmable way of doing things. And when you flip on the program, it creates a result. So if you want to change the result, you got to change the program. You got to change your mind. And that's why coaching is so powerful, because when you come up against challenges, I'm going to, hold you accountable to working through those challenges, not allowing you to, you take your feet off the fire, so to speak, because that's what happens. Most people, when the heat gets too intense, they get out of the kitchen. But as a business owner who wants to succeed at a high level and have fun and create something they can be proud of, that creates a lifestyle and allows them to have the freedom that I believe they wanted when they started this business, you got to be able to withstand the heat. And I'm there to help you get through that. So if you want to book a meeting with me to find out how I can help you, take your business from where it is today to where you want it to be, break down some glass ceilings for some of you. For some of you, it might be just as simple as, you know, we need somebody to come in and do some leadership and communication training with our team. Sorry, I need to take another drink. Or we could use with some customer service training or sales training, or we'd really like to get our team aligned with our vision and mission and our core values. But again, I always say, you should include some coaching in with that, because, as I said, and I talked about the brain, if you stop firing those neurons will prune away. You make changes in your business today. If you don't keep firing those changes, then they'll just prune away. And my job is to make sure that that doesn't happen. So if you want to figure out what it's like working with me, go to my website, lauriemcnaughton.com. Scroll down the page a bit, and there's a link there. You can book a 15-minute discovery meeting in there. In that meeting, and the reason it's 15 minutes is because I understand the value of time, both your time and my time. And in that 15 minutes, I want to know more about you. I want to know more about your business, the challenges that you face, the obstacles and the barriers, and or some of the beliefs that are getting in the way of you taking your business where you want it to go. And if I believe I can help, and I feel like you're somebody that I can work with, then we'll book a longer meeting. And I say that in sincerity, because when I went to coach training, one of the trainers said that I don't do things that aren't fun. And I've learned that I don't do things that aren't fun either. There's some people that are just not fun to work with. They're just not fun to be around. Sorry if that's you. But if you're somebody that I know is somebody who's going to embrace the coaching and embrace the training and really benefit from it and be able to drive it into the grassroots of your organization, and you're open to it, then I'm all in. I'm all in. So we'll book the 15 minutes. That's really what that is for. And if we think, yep, let's talk more about this, we'll book a longer session, up to an hour long. Well, at that particular point, I'm going to be drilling down to understand, because here's that. If you're working way too many hours, or you're stressed out, or you're anxious, that's a symptom. If your business is really busy but not profitable, that's a symptom. If you've got high turnover of people or a dysfunctional team, that's a symptom. I need to find out what the cause is. And when I know the cause is, I'll talk about what the solutions are. And if you feel like the solution works for you and you want me to help you achieve that solution, then we'll talk about a program that works for you. I have 4 different programs that are priced so that they can fit with a lot of different organizations. My target market for organizations would be anybody that's doing $1 million to $100 million and more, because the challenges that are that $1 million company are similar to the challenges that are in the $100 million company, because the $100 million company is broken up into different teams, and they have the same challenges as that small team of $1 million company. So they're similar in nature. So that's my target market. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Go to my website, book yourself a 15-minute discovery meeting. We'll have a quick conversation, and if we think there's some value in us working together, we'll talk more about what that looks like at that particular time. I want to thank you for listening. Please subscribe to my channel as I post videos on a regular basis around different parts of any business that you can use to help train some of your team. Even if we don't talk, I'm happy to add value any way that I can. So again, lauriemcnaughton.com. It's a pleasure chatting with you here today. I hope and look forward to one day having an opportunity to work with you and your team. Take care and have yourself a spectacular day.